Good evening and welcome to Hyderabad COE's program. This program today is one of the niche programs. We have a very well-known and renowned speaker and a chartered accountant and a financial expert and more than that, a perfect human being who has done a lot of service. Anyway, I'll introduce him more when I come to that. So, welcome to today evening program. Friends, since it is being conducted in Hyderabad, though it is COE program, we have a system in Tirupati. When you go to Darshan of Lord Balaji, the Supreme Lord, you have to first seek the blessings of the Stalapati, that is Varaha Swami. So today's Stalapati or Sthaladhyaksha, the chairman of Hyderabad branch, Macharo Minoli is here, and I would like him to welcome and also say a few words about the activities of Hyderabad branch. Friends, for your information, a couple of lines about Macharo Minoli. He is widely read. He has about 10 post qualification degrees to his credit, and I tried to by heart them, but somehow, somewhere, because of the numerous degrees, I was not able to by heart all the degrees that he has, but I can just reel out a few, two or three degrees which I can remember. He's an FCA, LLM, and he is a valuer, certified valuer, and qualified IBC, and I don't know what else he has. So he has a pen shop for reading and acquiring qualifications, and he has been also leading Hyderabad branch this year. And friends, to whom to those who do not know much about the chairman of Hyderabad branch, he is the darling of the masses, the mass leader, and he can mix well, and he has perfect equation with not only the senior professionals of Hyderabad but also the just qualified professional of Hyderabad, and he has got a. I'm not joking. He's got a huge mass base, and our charming chairman will now give the welcome address and say a few words about Hyderabad branch and its activities in this year. And over to you, Chairman Macharo.
Thank you, Bonu sir, for your wonderful words, and thank you so much. And respected Central Council member from Hyderabad, Sri Dayana Sharma ji, and the last speaker for the day, Padma Shri Awardee, TV Mohandas Paiser, and my senior immediate past chairman, Banu Narendra sir, and dear professional colleagues, good evening. On behalf of Hyderabad branch of SARC of an ICAI, I welcome you all to the virtual meeting on expectations from CAS 2030. I also welcome especially the lone speaker of the day, CA Mohandas Paiser, who has consented to deliver today's session. We all know about CA Mohandas. He is a Padma Shri Awardee and current chairman of Manipal Global Education, nothing but Manipal University. He was also the former director of Infosys. He was one acclaimed in the corporate world for his impeccable services. Along with this, I want to mention some of the activities of Mohandas Paiser. Sir has been active in working with regulators to improve the business ecosystem. He was also a member of various highly empowered committees constituted by the regulators and the government of India. He had also worked with various key decision makers to improve the quality of education and availability of the skilled manpower. Very close to my heart, he was also instrumental in setting up Akshay Patra Foundation in Bangalore, which today delivers meals to millions of school children in various government schools across the states in India. Thanks to Mohandas Paiser for joining us. And about today's webinar, expectation from CA 2030. The convention we have accountant is that of a qualified professional in the field of accounting, auditing, taxation. But over the period of CA, these periods, CA has evolved as a professional whose services are highly demanded in the field of business. One who can help in flourishing the business through his or her expertise in various verticals. One of the important and challenging part of expectation from CA is to But new technology, including big data, Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, blockchain, etc., to strengthen financial controls and to operate with environment and business trends. Friends, Hyderabad branch of SRC in its endeavor to upkeep the professional skills and knowledge base to the members has been conducting various meetings in various professional interests. Sorry, in the areas of professional interests. Apart from concentrating on conventional areas like auditing, taxation, Team Hyderabad branch has conducted programs on various current trendy topics like insolvency, bankruptcy court, valuation, IT transformations in financial sector, etc., wherein we had eminent resource persons has shared their expertise and experience in the areas and educating the members of the future prospectus in these fields. Hence, we also constantly focused on value addition to the CA fraternity. We have also conducted a program which demonstrates the interplay of emerging areas vis-a-vis conventional areas, which is also another effort to our end to mold the future ready chartered accountants, which is a dream of our Central Council member, Sri Dayaneva Sharma ji. The future of the CA profession, the future of CA profession purely depends on being flexible and to open to innovation. The world is focused on automation and therefore professional accountants need to combine the digital skill with emotional intelligence. Accordingly, we need to channel our efforts and initiatives on imparting the futuristic global knowledge in research and learning. I request Central Council members Dayaneva Sharma ji, sir, please look into these areas and add to our research and learning areas of an ICAI. The gap between expected and acquired professional skills is one of the major challenges for a successful career in the industry. Technology is transformational and is impacting the practice of accounting and assurance, proving to be a game changer for the profession. Leveraging a professional opportunities in the digital era will require more focus on analytical and advisory role by using a technology as a tool. The future chartered accountant need to understand the industry trends and take a proper steps for better compliance and decision making and also support for the businessman because businessman is expecting us as a bigger role from a chartered accountant like a regulator. The expectation from chartered accountants are continuously increasing to match the economic and technological changes. Chartered accountants are expected to go beyond their conventional role and deliver as complete business solution provider and hence need to continuously upgrade the skill sets. Before I conclude, once again, I thank our Central Council member and the land speakers uh, for joining us to sharing their expertise and experience. So before conclude, I want to read the vision of ICAI for 2030. The vision of ICAI for 2030 to be world's leading accounting, a regulator and developer of trusted and independent professionals with a world-class competence in accounting, assurance, taxation, finance, and business advisory services. Thank you, Banu sir, and thank you, Daya sir, and thank you, Speaker sir, and I thank all the delegates for joining this wonderful webinar. Thank you all.
Thank you, Chairman. Friends, I think it was just a coincidence that our Chairman had a slight choke. He coughed when he said expectation from CS in 2030. But I think he was more emotional about how it will be. Friends, I very much remember in 1999 and 2000, Hyderabad branch used to conduct so many programs on Vision 2020, how to go about from 2000 to 2020, and we already crossed 2020 and now we are talking about 2030. It is said that time and tide wait for no man, and it is in fact proved that today we are talking about 2030 when we were talking sometime back about 2020. Now from the Stalapati to the Dalapati, our Daladhyaksha, the young and dynamic Central Council member from Hyderabad, who is representing Hyderabad on all our behalf and who is doing a great job on the technology front as part of several committees of ICAI. And friends, I request Dayaneva Sharma ji to give an overview of today's program, expectations from CAs in 2030. Friends, he has dyed his hair white to look more serious. though he's very young. Over to you there, bhai.
Thank you, Banu, and respected Padma Shri awardee Mohandas Pai sir. Pranam to you. You are always a dearest person in the profession because you take the flag of ICAI across the length and breadth of not only of the country but the globe, and you have made us proud always. And we all aspire to see you as one leader who is a role model in our life. Thank you very much for coming to Hyderabad, sir. I think this is the first visit of yours to Hyderabad, to Center of Excellence in Hyderabad branch. It's really a treat to have you, among us. We have close to 1,000 people who are participating today in the session. And believe me, from the time you agreed to come and address us, it's been a continuous feel-good factor to listen to you. Because, very few people who are leaders who actually give a vision from now 10 years, from now 20 years. And when we talk about 2030 and much more, you have been a person who has seen the red books and the accounting days. And you are the person who is able to see that, triple entry accounting from the blockchain concept and much more. And you are one such person who's actually looking into the entire accounting changeover, the business changeover, the nation changeover, entire thought process which is undergoing change. That is why we have put this session as expectation from chartered accountants in 2030. And I think your vision is not going to stop at 2030. I'm pretty confident, sir. It is going to go on 2050 also in the entire discussion. So the reason of putting the key takeaways is primarily to understand from you. You have been a center point, one side of the profession, another side of the industry, and the third angle is on the government, who is a regulator, and you have been playing all the roles so effectively that we are able to take the benefit in every section of this profession. And on the humanitarian ground, I think Machar has very clearly told the contribution you have made for the Akshay Patra, which is one of the biggest ones. The key takeaway, sir, let me come to the main point rather than talking anything more. Transforming business and expectation from industry. Sir, we have been listening. We just heard that it is Industry 4.0. Now we are already started listening Industry 5.0. That itself is the biggest transformation which we are going to see, and the technology adoption towards the governance and the structuring, and more importantly, transparent economy when we talk about, is going to play a very important role. And that is what we are going to listen from you. Importance of governance and transparency, undoubtedly, adopting to technology has its own risk. But I think the rating and the data analytics is going to make a whole lot of difference when we start evaluating where we are moving towards. Evolving approach by government is something, there cannot be a better person than you who can actually talk from the government perspective. Sir, with lot of humility, I would like to say, once upon a time, we used to think we are ahead of a government and government is behind. But now government is way ahead of us. When they talked about 1 lakh crore worth of Digital India initiative, and when they invested close to 5,000 crores on the data lab, that itself was a message to the nation that we are transforming. Yes, there have been little bit of failures here there, but yes, when the vehicle has to start, it will take a kick. So that is what it is happening. And more importantly, ultimately, sir, by heart, by mind, you are undoubtedly a chartered accountant who's been guiding us all throughout. Kindly give us that input where the transformation has to come from the practice. And I always tell, we need not understand the programming and coding language. It's only we need to understand which is the right software which we need to pick up and start using. With this, sir, one thing which I would like to say, in Center of Excellence Hyderabad, we are coming out with a target T3. That is technology tourism, talent tourism, and technical tourism. We are completing that entire 51 rooms, which are going to be like a 4-star room. And more importantly, sir, that 41 computers which we have placed are going to be an example to start with when we are loading that entire thing, where people can come, stay there for half day, they'll learn, half day they'll do hands-on experience. And that is a cycle which we are coming up. Very soon you're going to see a mail or message coming from our side on that particular development. Technology cannot be ignored. But the most important thing which I tell my father, who is 75 years old, the laws are same. It's only the way it is being followed is different. So the experience will never go waste in our profession. We will require the profession because the decision making is going to come from that particular side. The transparency is going to come from the technology side. Sir, thank you very much for joining us in Hyderabad Center of Excellence, Hyderabad branch of SIRC, and giving your valuable inputs today. And we all are eagerly waiting to listen to you. Over to you, Banu.
Thank you, Dayanivas ji. Well, technology cannot be ignored. Well, what a wonderful statement. But also, the icing on the cake is laws are the same, and technology has to follow the laws. Very good. That's very nice. Friends, between you and words of wisdom from our speaker of the day will be me for a couple of minutes. I will just take a couple of minutes, though my friend Macharao has uh, intruded into my area and did say a few words about the speaker, sir. I would not like to let loose this opportunity because this is such opportunity of introducing such wonderful persons comes once in a while. So we have many speakers, and a few of them are in the top class. And Mohandas Paiji is one of those five-star speakers. Like we have the five-star generals in the army and the Navy and the Air Force. So we have speakers, five-star speakers. Mohandas Paiji is one of them. And in a career spanning more than 37 years, he served in the areas of finance, accounting, information technology, human resources, education, corporate governance, social impact, innovation, environmental conservation, policy formulation, heritage preservation, philanthropy, and the venture and startup ecosystem. Well, who else can talk about expectations from CS in 2030? Presently, Sir is the chairman of Arin Capital and chairman of the Manipal Global Education and member of the boards of Havels India and the Institute of Public Enterprises. He is member of the board of governors of National Investment and Infrastructure Fund, governing council member of the Center for Advanced Financial Research and Learning, promoted by the Reserve Bank of India, and chairman of Regulatory and Financial Technology Committee of the SEBI, and chairman of SEBI Primary Markets Advisory Committee and Investment Committee of 314 Capital. He was awarded the fourth highest civilian award in the Republic of India, that is the Padma Shri Award by the President of India in 2015 and the Karnataka Rajyotsava Award in 2008. Previously, he was the board member and the chief financial officer of Infosys for over a span of 17 years from 1994 to 2011, and he was also the CFO of Infosys till 2006. And under his supervision, the Infosys annual report won top awards consistently from the ICAI and SAFA. Sir is also presently doing a lot of service, and as it is said, Manav Seva is Madhav Seva. He is the founder trustee of the Akshay Patra Foundation, which is the spearhead for midday meal scheme for the school children. And he was also he is also board member of the Securities Exchange Board of India, that is SEBI, a member of Board of National Stock Exchange and the Ascendas Property Fund, the trustee manager of Ascendas India Trust, trustee of International Financial Reporting Standards Foundation, chairman of FICCI Skills Committee and Higher Education Committee, president of All India Management Association, and the founder trustee, as I already mentioned, of the Akshay Patra Foundation, a rank holder from St. Joseph's College of Commerce, Bangalore, in his degree, that is in Bachelor's of Commerce, and also he is a law graduate from the Bangalore University and a fellow member of our own institute as an All India rank holder. And Sir is really a person whom we would all love to listen to with all our eyes and ears open. And I think after his speech, we will definitely know how important it is to be prepared and how important it is to know the expectations of the people and be prepared. And over to you, sir. Bye, sir. Hi, sir, and welcome to Hyderabad, sir.
Folks, thank you very much. I am very overwhelmed by your affection for me and what you're trying to do. I commend you for your focus on excellence, because it's only excellence that can take a profession forward, because the profession is known by the high quality standards that it maintains. A profession's greatest value is the trust that people have in the profession, and the trust comes only when high quality standards are maintained and there is ethical conduct by the members of the particular profession. And I must say, chartered accountants have done very well in both these areas, but we have much to do. As we're going to talk about what we need to do in the future, let me give you a bird's eye view of what is happening around the world and what the future could look like. First of all, we need to go back in history. 250 years ago, a big event happened in Great Britain and Europe which changed the world forever. You must remember that for more than 5,000 years before then, the biggest economies of the world were China and India, largely because both had large populations, both had very skilled populations, and the skill, along with animal power and human muscle, led to the production of a large variety of goods which were traded, and they became very rich. Because that society was built upon human muscle and animal power. Of course, they created great monuments in India, in China, in Egypt, and other places. And the kind of monuments like the pyramids, the Nalanda University, and the great temples, even today we're not able to create, because we don't have that kind of resources. But whatever it is, the Industrial Revolution ushered in the age of the machine. The machine driven by steam could do the work of 100, 200 people, reduce the cost of production, increase standardization, and produce more goods which can then be distributed, and that changed the world. From 1800 to 1900, we saw an enormous amount of development, which is what the modern world is today. And that led to the domination of Europe as the largest economy in the world. Then, of course, the United States, and the relegation of Asia, led by China and India, to much, much poorer countries. Of colonization took place. We know how the British looted India. Ila Patnaik, Professor Utsa Patnaik of the Columbia University has written that the loot of India by the British from 1757 to 1947 is equal to $40 trillion in today's money. And the fascinating history of how the loot happened. And all of you must read it, just so that you understand that this is a rich country, will be a rich country, and you have a great role to play. The Industrial Revolution created its own supply chain to allow the Western economies to dominate the world economically. They created shipping, they created pipelines, they created railways, they created retail, wholesale organization, they created financial service and banking, international remittance, international banking, and they also created all the regulations which control this entire supply chain. And by this supply chain, producers in one part of the world could connect to consumers, and there was a global flow of resources, global flow of goods and services all over, but controlled entirely by the West, or largely by the West. And international trade organizations came up to create that kind of a superstructure. Suddenly, 15 years ago, all that was beginning to change. And that change was led by the internet. Now, why is the internet important? The internet is very important because for the first time in human history, you have a technology platform where all the people of the world could connect to each other through a mobile device and a cheap data plan. Now in India, 98% of India is covered by wireless. Maybe globally, 95% is covered by wireless. And the world has gone digital with a vengeance for the last 15 years, led by the internet. And this has created new business models. To give you some data, the world has 7.8 billion people today. 6 billion people have a mobile device. 5 billion people are connected to the internet. 4.5 billion people are connected to social media. The social media giants have got more people than most of the large countries like China and India. So when COVID happened, a large part of the world went digital with a vengeance. almost overnight, everybody shifted to a digital platform where they bought their goods and services through e-commerce. They got the entertainment to Netflix and Hotstar. They got education through many education apps. They got the banking by e-banking, which they're already doing earlier. And they got the health by video talking to doctors driven by Zoom. And we saw a dramatic shift in value. And the shift in value was shown up in the financial markets, where suddenly we saw $2 trillion valued companies like Apple, now a Microsoft, a $1.6, $1.7 trillion company like Alphabet, or like Amazon. And if you look at the top 10 most valuable companies in the world, 9 of them are digital companies. And only one, Berkshire Hathaway, is a non-digital company. And the world changed. The world changed the vengeance. A friend of mine told me that in the United States, the corporate profits are 9% of GDP, and 40% of the profits come from digital companies. And digital companies make up 50% of the value of the financial stock markets in the United States. Because the United States is the leading power. Even in China, you saw this power. So the world has changed. The world is going to change even more. And today, in the financial markets, the central banks of the world in the OECD have accumulated $25 trillion of government securities because of printing of notes, created that much of liquidity because the stimulus that they created. And out of the $40 trillion of government securities in the OECD, 20 trillion are quoting below positive rates. They all have negative rates. And further today, the junk bond rates in the United States have come below the inflation rate for the first time in history. In the financial markets, we are seeing the fixed income group get decimated, with greater allocation being given by pension funds for equities and alternate capital. So the huge amount of surplus capital is available in the world, going all over seeking returns and creating more disruption. Whenever innovation happens, existing business model get disrupted, the drive of capital creates great value for disrupting industries. That's why Tesla today is worth possibly more than all the big auto companies taken together. Tesla one time was worth $800 billion, and Elon Musk was the richest man in the world for a few days, I guess. Now, why does it happen? Are they all foolish? It's just speculation? It's not. It's just that capital is showing us what the future could be, because capital flows to disrupt industries and gives them unbelievable values because they believe these companies are going to disrupt the existing industries. And they're a precursor to what is going to happen in the future because this is deemed to be smart capital. And after them follows the institutional capital to hold the assets after the disruption has been created. And if you look at the world economy before, when the railroads came in the United States, there was disruption. When the electricity came, there was disruption. When the IC engine came, there was disruption. And when the internet came, there was disruption. So all areas were disrupted. And these industries had great value when they were the innovators. And later they became the utilities where everybody had use and the world had indeed changed. The rapidity of change is something that we have to understand. It took 50 years, 60 years for the airline industry to have 50 million passengers. It's taken, I think, 18 days for Pokemon to have 50 million. It's taken 30 days for Arogya Setu to have 50 million. Arogya Setu today has about 175 crore people on that one single app in a matter of 1.5 years. And the scale of change is something that's very frightening. And you can only understand the scale of change if you happen to be in a country like the United States or at the margin. At the margin, the scale of change is tremendous, but on the base, it looks slower. But we know now what the future is going to look at. And look at the global industries which are getting disrupted. All this is very necessary for all of you to understand how our profession is going to change and what is going to happen, what we need to do to prepare for this change so that we can enjoy the benefits of change and lead the change rather than become a victim of the change or follow the change. If you look at various industries in the world, you'll find how this is changing. The auto industry has a revenue of $2 trillion with 19 million four-wheelers every single year. And now they're all getting threatened by the electric vehicle industry with electric cars. This year, the world will make 3.5 to 4 million electric cars. Last year, they made 2 million electric cars. And by 2030, maybe 35-40% of all automobiles could be electric cars. Germany has announced by 2030, they're going to stop producing IC engine cars. And the IC engine has been there for the last 150 years. And we must remember, even today, 1 in 6 job is in the auto industry and the mobility industry globally. And this is all changing. The IC engine has 2,000 moving parts. The electric vehicle has got 20 moving parts. And the electric vehicle can go on for 500,000 kilometers, where the IC engine requires change. The maintenance cost of IC engine is very high, and the electric vehicle does not require much maintenance. And the electric vehicle consumes energy, which is driven by lithium-ion batteries, and the battery cost is coming down every single year by 15-16% for the last maybe 20 years. And it's going to become cheaper today. And this is a trend that is going to happen. And we are at this inflection point, and the financial markets are telling us what is going to happen. And these cars, when they become autonomous, that means the cars can drive by themselves. We are maybe 4 to 5 years away. It means that you don't have to own a car. You can rent a car. The business model innovation in Uber, Ola, and in renting cars, in Airbnb is demonstrating to us how change can come. Young people don't want to own cars. They want to rent cars. Why should we invest so much of capital in owning a car? So the total number of cars on the planet can come down dramatically for a period of 10 years. And cars are responsible for a large part of the air pollution that the world has today. And we are seeing the impact of this huge traffic. 10% of the real estate in the United States is used for parking. And most people use the car only 5 to 10% of the time in the day. Most of the cars are kept stationary and parked. There's an enormous amount of capital which is stuck up in an idle asset, which is not running all the time. And you must understand that $2 trillion of revenue every year means at least $20 trillion of value is there in all the stationary assets that's available, which is idle most of the time around the world. Now, if the electric vehicle takes off, what happens to oil? Oil was a $6.5 trillion industry at $145 to a barrel. Because of shale gas and America regaining its reputation as the largest oil producer, which it was before 1971, meant that oil was in surplus and prices came down. And in COVID times, you saw that the world's consumption came down by 35 million barrels. Before COVID, the world was consuming 100 million barrels of oil a day. Then it fell down by 35 million barrels. Oil came down to $15. It went negative because of contango and derivatives. And suddenly now, the world is still consuming 8 to 9 million barrels less than the peak oil. But prices are slowly coming back. But the impact on the oil-producing economies was something unbelievable. All of them were devastated. Saudi Arabia started reforming. The Middle East started reforming because they said oil cannot go on. And I personally think the age of peak oil has come. Now, 60% of oil is consumed by automobiles. When autos largely become electric, what happens to the oil industry? Oil industry will come down, shipping will come down, pipelines will come down, and oil will be used for petrochemicals and plastics. But there is plastic pollution, and now new material may come up. It may replace plastic used from oil. So we're going to see a dramatic transformation in the oil industry in the next 10 years, with oil peaking and oil coming down. Another industry which is going to be hurt. What about the energy industry? Today, 60% of the world's energy is given by coal, and the share of coal is coming down. In the UK, for the last 2 years, no coal has been used to produce electricity. In Germany, 30-35% of energy is coming from wind or from solar. And all around the world, maybe 10-12% of energy today is alternate energy like solar and wind. Even in India, 10% of the energy that we consume, electricity that we consume, is coming from solar or wind. And the cost of solar is come to 2 rupees 15 paisa per unit. And the cost of electricity produced to solar is now the cheapest in the world, never before seen, for a long period of time. So energy costs are coming down. And by 2030, possibly 30 to 35% of world's energy are going to be alternate energy, and coal will be on the way out. So we're going to see a disruption in the energy industry. Now, imagine a time when you have a solar panel on the roof of your house, you get sunlight. The sunlight is converted into electrical energy. It's fed into a battery on the wall of your house, stored there. It is loaded into your car, and you can use the car and go. And you can call the car by an app or a two-wheeler which you own. You don't even have to own a car. And the car will come and drive you yourself to an office and leave you there. Or you can go by a bicycle driven by electricity from the sun. So you can be off the grid. You don't have to pay for petrol. And the life of your vehicle will be very long. Accidents in the streets will come down because of technology and radar. And life will be very, very different. And new industries have to come up. Along with that, one big industry is financial services. In the last 15 years, across the OECD, bank branches have come down. Employment has come down. Banks have gone automatic. Today too, in India, 85% of all banking transactions are happening through the internet automatically. People are not going for branches. And if you look at India, in the last 15 years, banks' balance sheet could have gone up 10 times, but employment has gone up only 5%. Banks are getting automated, the financial service getting automated, and the financial service industry is getting increasingly disrupted. Just 3 days back in Korea, a digital-only bank went for an IPO and they got a demand of $2 trillion to buy the stock. We have seen Paytm ask for a valuation of $26-30 billion. We've seen Revolut with $360 million of revenue ask for $36 billion and get it. So all around the world, we are seeing financial services get disrupted. The liability side of the balance sheet is getting disrupted. The asset side is getting disrupted. The payments are getting disrupted. In India, we have UPI with 2.8 billion transactions last month, which is by which you can transfer money from phone to phone with almost no cost in maybe 30 seconds, which has never happened before. So we are the cusp of this great innovation all around. So the financial service industry is getting disrupted. And the biggest disruption that's happening on the world is in demographics. You'll be very surprised to know that the United Nations has said the world will have 11 billion people by 2100. Now they say there'll be only 9.6 billion people because large parts of the world are not experiencing population growth. Japan's population is shrinking by 600,000 people every year. China's population has peaked. Fertility is down to 1.2. Replacement is 2.1. India's fertility has come to 2. The whole of South India is 1.7. Punjab is 1.6. West Bengal is 1.6. Only Bihar, UP, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan is higher. And now we're already as a country below 2.0, and this is going to have political repercussion. The whole of Europe has got fertility below replacement. The United States got fertility below replacement. Only Africa's fertility is going up. Middle East too is not growing in the same manner that it did. People are producing lesser babies. And we say by 2045, the world population may peak with the population getting older. Today, we got 130 million people above the age of 16 in India. And if you look at Japan, 35% of people are above the age of 65. Population is aging. And the population ages, the entire economic condition for the world changes. Because in the United States, people spend 15% of all the medical expenditure for their life in the last 1 year of their life. And so medical expenditure is going to grow up. And then we're going to see the medical industry grow. We're going to see geriatric industry grow. We're going to see new industries come up. In Japan, adult diapers sell more than baby diapers for the last 10 years. And that will be a tremendous impact on consumption. And many of these countries are not going to grow. The world economic growth is going to come down in a very dramatic manner with all this kind of changes. And we have been used to the economy growing at a rapid pace for the last 30, 40 years, especially after the Second World War. So all these changes are happening in the world, and we'll see the real impact of these changes in the next 7 to 8 years. So by 2030, the world will be a radically different place. And on top of this, during COVID, we are seeing the impact of climate change. Because the lockdown globally, people could see blue skies, people could see clear water in the rivers, people could see lesser pollution, and everybody understood that climate change can be reversed. Now, civil society and everybody is coming together to say that we need better application of technology to reverse climate change. We're seeing the impact of climate change in more adverse weather all around the world. And the global consensus is that we must invest in climate change. So the way we live, the way we work, the way we use resources is going to change dramatically. Now, you could say, all that is very good. And what is going to happen to the world in terms of economy? Now, in this decade, we are going to see the share of the not OECD countries increase above the OECD countries. The world GDP today, if I'm right, is $82 trillion. The emerging markets are possibly 35, 36. And by 2030, the emerging markets will have a larger share of the economy than global economy than the OECD. Europe is going to grow possibly 1.5% if at all for the next 10 years, or maybe less. America may grow 2 to 2.5%. Asia may grow 5%. India may grow 6 to 7%. China may grow 5 to 4%. Africa may go 4 to 5%. So world economic growth of 4.5% for the last 20 years before COVID can possibly come down to 3.5 or 2.5, led by Asia. So the emerging markets outside the OECD will have a larger part of the global GDP. And this will have a dramatic change on geopolitics for a period of time. The Western countries still have technology, still have the military power, still have savings, but the rest of the world is catching up, even though they're not a united political bloc. Now, what about India? Now, we must remember that in 1950, when India became a republic, we were the richest country in Asia. Japan was destroyed in the war. China was destroyed in the war. Southeast Asia was destroyed in the war. And there was nothing much in the Middle East. But we had socialistic policies. We did not allow private capital to grow. We had the license quota Raj, and we systematically destroyed our economy through bad policies and focus on government sector and the public sector. But in 1950 to 1980, India's economy only grew 3.5% a year, population grew at 2.5% a year, and per capita income grew at 1% a year. 1980 to 1990, our economy grew at maybe 5.5% a year, population grew at 2.25% a year. So we had 3.25% growth in per capita income. In 1991, at the time of liberalization, March 1991, our GDP was 275 billion and it went to 2.93 trillion by 2020, growing 8.6% a year in dollar terms. Population grew only 1.6%, so per capita income grew 7% a year for 29 years. And that is the impact of liberalization and economic growth. And that growth is going to continue till 2030. By 2026, we could be in close to $5 trillion if the rupee dollar rate is constant. 2032, we could be $10 trillion and we will grow. We have been through deep reforms, etc., and we will grow. Now, what about the digital revolution in India? Let me give you some data. India has 1.2 billion people out of the 1.38 billion people on Aadhaar. We have 1.2 billion mobile connections, 900 million mobile phones, 654 million people on the internet. We have more than 1 billion bank accounts. And India has rapidly changed. When COVID happened, 60-65% of India immediately went over to the digital medium for e-commerce, for health, for education, for doing audit, for doing all services, everything seamlessly. Nobody even looked at things. They just automatically shifted. I'm sure all of you in the profession shifted. One of the biggest industries in India is the IT service industry. In 15 days, I'm told about 90% of the 45 lakh people employed started working from home. In 15 days, seamless transition for one of the largest industries in the world with enormous number of people, and happened in India. So India has gone digital with a vengeance. And it's gone digital vengeance because we have built up a very large software service industry in the world. This year we're going to export $170 billion of software. 60% of the global outsourcing comes to India. $170 billion of software is more than the oil export of Saudi Arabia. So we are exporting a part of our abundant brain power, whereas the Saudis are exporting a non-renewable source of energy that they have from the ground, and which is not going to last forever. But our brain power is going to last for a long, long time. And of the top 10 software service companies by market value, 5 are Indian. Of the top 5, 3 are Indian. Of the employees in the top 10 of 2.8 million, 2 million are Indians. America has 6 million software people, 1 million are Indians. Of the 5 million working in Indian software and BPO, 2.5 million work for American companies. Out of the 8.5 million people working for American companies, technology, 3.5 million are Indians. And that includes BPO, KPO, technology, and all that. And we've got a fantastic industry that's only going to grow. And we're going to export $250 billion by 2025, because this industry will grow a minimum of 10% a year for the next 2 years at least. Because the world spent $2 trillion in 2019 on digital transformation. And maybe by 2025, the world will spend $5 trillion. Because COVID has demonstrated, if you don't have a digital model, you're gone. And COVID has demonstrated the market rewards people who have a digital model, and those who don't have are going to get disrupted. And that's why there's an enormous amount of spending all over. And this year, the IT industry in India will hire 5 lakh people. 5 lakh people. And by 2030, we'll have 10 lakh people. 10 lakh people working in technology. 5.5 million, I'm sorry, not 10 lakh. We'll have 10 million people working in technology. 10 million people means 1 crore people working in technology. We have 4.5 million, 45 lakhs, 50 lakhs today, including the startup industry. So we have an enormous technology advantage. And that's why Bangalore and Hyderabad, you see this kind of growth coming. You see real estate being purchased for offices. You see the global companies coming. You see a lot of high quality jobs coming. And people are doing extremely complex work. which many people, including the left in this country, don't understand. On top of that, we have the startup industry. Let me give you some data again. India has 55,000 startups today, 58 unicorns who created $350 billion of value. They employ 12 lakh people today. This year, they'll hire maybe 2.5, 3 lakh people. They just had the Zomato IPO, which is now worth 1.20 lakh crores. It's a lot of money. And India got $70 billion of capital coming in from 2014 till now. And for the first 6 months a year, we got about $10.5, $11 billion. And for the full year, we may get $20 billion. For this year till now, in the calendar year, we created 18 unicorns. We may end up getting 25 unicorns by December. By 2025, India will have more than 100,000 startups, 150 unicorns, creating $1 trillion of value, and creating 35 lakh jobs in total. And then we'll get maybe 150, $200 billion of capital from now till 2025, because the world has now realized that India is a growth area. In China, the government is going after the tech companies, going after all those IPOs. So India and the US are the countries where we go to see the enormous growth, and government has enormous, technology policies, which is working very well. And government says by 2025, we'll have $1 trillion in the digital economy. It could be 2026, maybe 2027, but it's going to happen sooner or later. And we see these benefits in the South. The Golden Triangle in the South, Bangalore, Hyderabad, and Chennai, will be the fastest growing region in India and one of the fastest growing regions in the world, driven by technology, driven by services like nothing else. And every year, 5,000 startups come up in this country. And in every aspect of the economy, whether it's SaaS, whether it's cloud, whether it's AI, whether it's machine learning, 3D printing, or automation, Indian startups and Indian companies are doing extremely well. Even in manufacturing, there's great degree of automation, robotics in many, many enterprises, and there is a great degree of investment going on in digital infrastructure. So this is the extent of change that's happening in the world and the change that's happening in India. Now, what about chartered accountants? What about our profession? Now, we are all creatures of the economy. So we are going to see high growth. And the growth is going to be led by investment in technology. The growth is going to be led by capital flowing in from all around the world. The growth is going to be led by an improved electronic supply chain. The growth is going to be led by innovation. And the growth is going to be led by investors and investment coming in a very big way. You'll be surprised to know that India's savings rate is 28% of GDP. Investment rate is 30% of GDP for the last many years. And 30% of GDP on a $3 trillion economy is $900 billion. It's not a small sum of money. People in India don't understand how big this country is. People in India don't understand the kind of things that are happening in this huge, huge country. Because when you go out, you see bad roads, you see poor people, blah, blah, blah. But you must understand, out of 1.38 billion people, 380 million people is the real economy. 1 billion people live on less than $2 a day. And if less than $2 a day, 1 billion people are having income of, let's say, $1 billion, and 380 million people having an income of maybe $2 trillion. That is maybe about, maybe how much is that? Maybe 6 times? So maybe 5 times, $5,000 per head, right? And this $5,000 per head is the one that's going to change and the one that is going to grow. And that is where we got to see. The $5,000 becomes $10,000 by 2030. That is 400 million people having $10,000, a middle income country. But if you look at the whole of India, you will not see the change. If you look at the top, 380, 400 million people, you'll see a tremendous change. And that is where all of us are. That is where the profession is. The profession is not in the bottom 1 billion. It's in the top 400 million. And that's where the companies are. That's where value is going to be created. The Indian stock market today is worth 3 trillion. By 2025, it could be 5 trillion. By 2030, it could be 10 trillion. Out of 5 trillion, maybe 1 trillion will be the software service and IPOs of all the startups that are going to come. And in 10 trillion, they could be what, maybe $3 to $4 trillion. So we are very sure where growth is coming, how things are going to happen. And India is also going to export now because China, which has 24% of the world's manufacturing, is experiencing a flat economy, decline in the working age population, and the increase in labor costs because people can't afford to live in houses. They're facing deep challenges because of lack of high quality job, blah, blah, blah. So India has got great labor surplus, and India must have policies for using its labor surplus in a very different way. And Prime Minister Modi is doing that in a very big way. And technology has allowed us to tackle the biggest challenge that we had for 70 years, poverty. Government through DBT has transferred 17 lakh crores, the bank account of 450 million people, just like that, 17 lakh crores. And government is able to transfer money to the account, give them free rations, have a single ration card, vaccinate, 450 million people, do such enormous thing and have control of that because of a single database. The income tax database has now got about 80 million people. And they're now combining the direct tax, indirect tax, and doing data analytics using AI to catch people who are crooks and who are evading taxes. And they've got all the information. So all the databases, the information that India had got is going to change. So for the CA profession, what does it mean? One, the economy is going to grow. There's going to be high growth. Two, there's going to be deeper globalization and higher technology assimilation. And the third, the new age companies, innovative companies are going to grow and create enormous opportunities for you to help them grow, to do many things. And fourth, the quality of accounting and standards is going to go up because of the use of technology, automated audit processes, use of core banking technologies, use of accounting software, blah, blah, blah. So all of us have to become technology experts using this kind of tools, etc. And COVID has shown that you can work from your home, work from your office, and don't have to go anywhere else because everything is there on the cloud, everything is there in data centers, and you can get access to that using AI, machine learning, and all the great tools to improve productivity. So if you're able to use all this kind of tools that are publicly available at low cost and do the audit, your productivity goes up. Then international tax and tax structuring is going to become extremely important because there's going to be a way of mergers and acquisition. There's going to be a lot of foreign capital coming in. There's going to be integration. And Indians are going to, invest hugely abroad. Last year, nearly $20 billion was invested by Indians abroad. And this year, it will be $30 billion. And that's going to grow, both through LRS and by corporations investing. And Indians are raising $8 to $10 billion of debt from around the world. And capital is coming in a very big way. And then there are going to be opportunities for members to get involved in technology services and in KPOs. For example, with the world being flat and everybody being on the cloud, you can do accounting services in India in a very large way. We have to understand IFRS. We have to be trained in IFRS. And India can be the global center for accounting because we understand double entry bookkeeping. We understand technology. We are trained to use the tools. We have extraordinarily bright people in the CA profession. Around the world, the brightest people don't go into accounting. Only the middle goes into accounting. In India, the top 5-10% goes into technology. The next lot go into accounting, maybe become lawyers, etc. Right? Earlier, the top 5% used to go. Now, maybe they're in the top 15%. After the top 5%, the next 10% go into the profession. So we are going to have this huge impact of human capital available in this country, which are highly trained, etc. And that's going to allow us to give services to people around the world. And then we are also going to have a situation where we will be the technology innovators. We have a lot of companies creating software tools, creating new ways of auditing, new accounting, software, and many other things, which will help us improve our productivity and compete with everybody else. So the speed of transaction processing will change. The speed of audit will change. The piece of tax will change. The whole of tax will get automated. The new software portal promises to give you an assessment order in 1 day. It's going to be fully automated. There are some challenges because possibly, enough testing did not happen or whatever it is, they prematurely released it because it is fully ready for political reasons. But whatever it is, in the next 2-3 months, it's going to be fully functional. And we're going to see a sea change because it uses cloud technology and internet-led, and it's going to be a wonderful piece of software. I've seen that benefit of that much earlier. I'm sure it will work beautifully, and we're going to see the big benefits come in. And India's supply chain is also coming. So the economy is going to grow, our services are going to grow, and we have to be prepared. Now, what are the qualities that we have to imbibe to succeed in this new world? One, we have to have bigger firms with multi-specialty partners. We need deep expertise. Today, why should the Big Four dominate accounting? Big Four dominates because they build deep specialization. They know how to market themselves. They use a common brand for consulting and other places, and they capture the entire system. If you go to Government of India, the state, most of the consulting has been captured by the Big Four by making sure that the entry criteria for consulting contracts is suited to their needs. And the rest of us have been foolish, not going there and not marketing. So we have to build a lot of expertise across a lot of firms. All the firms have to be bigger. We have got to get younger people, and we got to get more technology people. Second, we have to build technology tools across our practices and become adapted technology. We don't have to learn technology. We have to learn how to use the tools, and we have to train younger people. And it's better to train younger people in the 20s and 30s rather than older people, because older people can sit and advise and do the reviews, and younger people can do all the technology. Easier for them because they are the technology generation, they are the millennials, they understand what it is, the point of technology. So we got to use technology in a very big way. Third, we got to understand how to use data analytics, how to use artificial intelligence tools, and how to train the tools to capture many transactions. And the fourth, we have to truly globalize. We must build link with multinational auditing firms in the top 10, top 20, etc. And we must build links with our companies to go overseas. I still remember when Infi went and listed in the NASDAQ in 1999, I insisted that the local firm with the affiliate KPMG should have an Indian partner. I didn't want a white partner. I want an Indian partner. Why is that? I'm an Indian company. I said, I didn't want my audit to be done by somebody outside. I want an Indian partner, and you can go review or do whatever you want. That's the precondition. Of course, we are forced to go to KPMG and BMR or whatever it is with Ravi Ramu, primarily because, we are in the NASDAQ. They don't know Indian accounting firm. We don't have brand equity. We never follow the global standards. Even now, that Ind AS, in my view, is a poor imitation of IFRS. I've been arguing and telling everybody, you allow us to be compliant with Ind AS. We don't want those carve-outs. We want to follow IFRS. Allow those who follow IFRS to follow IFRS. Those who don't want to follow, give them an exemption in the carve-outs. Why are you forcing everybody to be the child of a lesser god? Let us compete in globally. Let us build a brand. Let us build a reputation. Why are you pulling us down? Because some people don't want to go to IFRS. Let them not follow IFRS. It's their headache. Why are you forcing the rest of us? So we must have the largest trained people on IFRS. So we become the dominant, power in accounting. Like the IT software industry, we must become an exporter of accounting services. We must be an exporter of accounting and taxation services. And these are huge industries. Accounting and taxation industry could be worth $300 to $400 billion globally. Even if we get a 10% share of the market, that would be very good. And for that, we must learn how to market. The institute should not come in the way of marketing. And maybe you should set up consulting firms with the same name as audit practice and use the same brand. So to get over the silly institute principle of not advertising, etc. We must modernize. Today, the world of advertising to the world of marketing, and we must do that. So we must use the same consulting name. KPMG uses the name, PwC uses the name. They got audit firm, they got firms, and the institute is not concerned. Even though the brand name is the same. The brand name should not be the same. The brand name is the same, the branch wears off, right? So you should offer as a package to all Indian companies or multinationals, you should offer them international taxation. You must offer tax consulting in India. You must offer them accounting services. You must offer them audit services, M&A services as a package, and you must go market to them without making it public. And marketing is very easy. You must send them knowledge papers. You must send them updates with like big firms do. You must have seminars and talk to them. You must use the web to communicate to them and improve communication, branding. And you must send them good bills. Don't underbill anybody. I keep telling my friend Padamchand Kincha, who's a good tax advisor, that his bill is 1/10 of the big four for what? His services are probably better. I trust him much more for the last 30 years than anybody else in this country because, I know his capability. K.S. Ravi Shankar does GST and others in Bangalore. I'm sorry because I'm in Bangalore. I don't know the rest of people. So I dealt with them and I trust them much more. I'm willing to pay whatever they ask because I know that I can stand on their assurance. When they give me an advice, it's a rock solid advice, rock solid. They're not going to be adventurous. They're not going to restructure just to benefit me. They're not going to tell me how to change my company to go overseas. They're going to tell me these are the factors and that's what we must do. And that's why I think we must change. And lastly, we must learn how to communicate. You must have an analytical bent of mind. You must learn how to communicate. You must learn how to present, and you must give confidence to your clients. The persona is important. When you walk into a room, people must know that you have gravitas, that you are something. You speak to them as equal. You speak to them as a global expert who's respected, and you must build your brand equity. We need more stars in the accounting world. We need people who can stand up in public and make a statement, and the world should listen. India should listen because they're people of great ethics. Then you must have a high ethical standard, and you must use technology. And we must grow. We must invest back and invest in young people, pay them much better so they can make, they can make a big career. So I want to end here by saying the world is undergoing a rapid change by 2030. India is undergoing a rapid change driven by technology, driven by global demographics, geopolitics, etc. A new set of countries are growing up and becoming dominant powers. The world is becoming one much, much faster. driven by technology. New business models are come, new disruption is happening. So all of you, I would suggest, please keep in touch with all the startups, be good to young people. From the time they start with a PPT, work with them, help them grow companies. Because once you grow with them, help them, they trust you. They don't want anybody else. And they will trust you and they'll work with you and they will grow one day and they will access capital and you connect them to providers of capital and you'll grow. So we need chartered accountants to become partners in this new world and to grow. So I will stop here and answer any questions that you have.
Yes, sir. We have a question from Pankaj Trivedi ji, our immediate past chairman. Pankaj says, he asks, great to listen to such great things about India and was really proud to be an Indian. Why is that media is busy talking about killings, deaths, and negative news only? Should we have a mandatory one page per week in every major newspaper wherein people like you write about India, where we can read balanced views? Over to you, sir.
You must ask people, young people in the age group of 20 to 30, whether they watch TV or they read those newspapers. They don't watch TV, they don't read the newspapers. So this is a legacy media, which is catering to an elderly crowd, which is grown up in the pre-digital era. In the next 10 years, the digital generation is going to be the majority of population with a lot of buying power, and you'll see the change. That's why these old legacy papers are seeing decline in revenue. Many of them are not viable, and nobody wants to listen to all this, negativity, this biased opinion, this cooked up fake narratives, etc. And today, the democratization of media, there's so much genuine information available on the web, so much of optimism in young people, so much of upward mobility of young people, and they don't declare a damn. This is the dying prose of a snake. When a snake is dying, it flashes about widely, and this is what they're doing. And people in Lutyens, Delhi believe that the country belongs to them. They are the ones. They all become legacy. Nobody cares for them. They're all becoming a smaller and smaller group, and nobody cares for them. Nobody cares for the New York Times. Nobody cares for the Washington Post in America. They all got discredited, and all these people are getting discredited. New media is coming. If you want to see what India is doing, read The Better Place, Better India. It's a portal called The Better India. A lot of them on the web, and you read them, and that's it. Just ignore that. Because, you see, as people in profession, you know what is happening. You know the innovation that's happening. You know the change that's happening. So why bother? See, I get 5 newspapers. I see a few of them. And I get more reports on the web than anywhere else. But I still buy them just to support the newspaper media, right? You don't want them to die.
One question from my side. I've been traveling across the globe, at least 18 countries. And I've found one thing, that the professional accountants globally is reducing because they are having senior members more. But India it is young India. And a lot of young generation is coming forward from a different perspective altogether. Need your input on that young India concept, which has been talked. I think that will be of a lot of value for us.
See, let me give you some data. For the last 30 years, we've been producing 2.5 crore babies a year. For the next 20 years, we'll produce at least 2 crore babies a year. We have a youth bulge because we have 500 million, 50 crore people below the age of 20. We have about maybe 720 million people below the age of 30. All right. Now, this is a youth bulge. And this youth bulge is going to last for the next 30, 40 years. So we are young India. Average age of India is 27 years. Okay.
Right.
And these are getting better educated. Their parents are more able to spend on them, and they got lesser children. And that's the generation that's going to come. They're tech savvy, they're hungry. Now it's up to us to give them the background, the polish, etc. Change your examination system, or the fear of the CA examination goes away. Now tell me, why should you be scared of this silly examination that we all do? Because, I remember I got ranks in my inter and final. But I think in my inter, we had operational research and mathematics or something like that. And, I had never done trigonometry, sine, cos, tan, and all that. For the first time in life, I went for tuition. And I didn't understand much of it. I got 8 marks in mathematics and 33 in statistics. I got 41, but I got a rank. And I've done well. Now, we must have open book examinations. We must change the way and create a problem-solving attitude. We must upgrade our curriculum and allow them to use the tools and answer. Because today, what you need to know is not information, how to apply that information and get answers.
Right.
And for all of them, you must give them marks for internal assessment for what work they're doing during the article period. Because that's real work. The examination doesn't say, it just says, do you have all that information in your head? Can you cram it down and write it down? It does not test you for solving problems, etc. So you must create a mechanism where work done by them, and so that people enter the profession because they want to build a great career. The fear of this examination goes away, and we don't have so much of a failure rate. Now, are we proud that 4% pass the exam, 5% proud? Because what we have done, we have a very wide entry gate and a very tough, gate outside, exit gate. We must have a tough entry gate and a very wide exit gate. Like the IIT system has a tough exit gate and a very wide entry gate.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
So we must change that, because we believe that we must get more and more cannon fodder, thousands of young people to slave for us. We must get articles to go on ticking and casting. What is that? Casting? There was, when I was doing my CA, it was casting, totaling, and something and posting. Yeah, casting, posting. Casting, posting. We used to check up I used to write accounts by hand. I used to tick and all by hand, go for bank audits. I remember all those days. Now it's all changed, right? You don't need all that. So you have to change the way we do exam, change the way we treat people, pay them much better during articles, and make sure that they got the kind of skills required, and give them that polish. I always get asked, who is better, a MBA or a chartered accountant? I say chartered accountant is much better. Why? Because chartered accountant solves real life problems. In articleship, he does practical examination, he understands everything, he's got a wider range of topics. Whereas a young person in MBA start business theory, which he doesn't understand. Because much of the business theory you only understand when you apply those theories. And when you are an MBA, young MBA, you are not running an enterprise. You're running small piece of business, small things you'll do. Your MBA, I used to, when I go for IPO, I had an Harvard MBA carry my bags for Goldman Sachs. They used to carry my bags and take me for lunch and dinner. He's an Harvard MBA getting $200,000. Why? Because, he's studying what will he know about strategy, what his strategy is going to decide for the first 10 years of his life. That's why the MBA was meant for people for mid-career who are worked, who now want to go to the next level. Now it's become an undergrad course or a postgrad course or whatever it is. Whereas a CA actually does work on the ground, and that I think is very important. So we must get the glamour back to a profession, change the way we do things, and within the audit firms, we must treat them much better, communicate much better, talk to them, and allow them to think and use more technology tools which will impress our clients, because we can do things much better, and that will attract better people. And then we must send them outside the country, tie up with many global firms, export our people, so that they get global experience and they come back to Mera Bharat Mahan and sit here and work and possibly earn good money.
Sunray Dayabai, I think this is very important. Global experience for the article students.
So, Mohandas sir, one thing which I would like to tell all of our audience who are here, most importantly, like today we have 67 international chapters, which is a big number. And today what is happening is there is a gap of one particular thing. With all humility, I am saying, sir, we go for that industrial tour. It's more of a holidaying. Rather, I think a time has come where we need to use all those resources which is available in 67 chapters globally to go and interact with a big set of people. I think people are really interested to, they are hungry of learning, and there is an opportunity to get connected.
Why don't you have a global internship program where every year, maybe 5,000, 6,000 people will go to the 67 chapter, work with the local accountants, work with somebody, and they will take care of the hospitality so that they don't have to pay them too much. That should not be a barrier. And they get the international exposure. Send them on internship. And in return, you can say that you can send your people an internship to work with us. And we have got exciting, intense work where you will also learn about the systems. Why don't you have an exchange program between global firms and global chapters and Indian firms?
And so we have Center of Excellence. Dayabai, we have Center of Excellence, so we can implement that.
Yeah, you should do that.
Yeah. But one thing, Pai sir, is basically one assurance from my side as a young council member in the institute, that in times to come, you will actually listen to it very soon, that this kind of program is initiated. what may come, we will initiate this process.
Yeah, you initiate this program because look, you don't require the institute to give you permission for this because you don't require any permission. It is between you and somebody else, and your article can go there and work there for 6 months, and their article come here. It is part of your training. What does it matter?
Nothing. It's a perfect thing, I think, which is going to give a different kind of exposure and confidence. More importantly, that is something.
See, we must learn how to present.
And it will also attract a lot of youngsters because of this youth exchange program. I think we can also.
And I'm sure in all those chapters, firms outside, they're having a shortage of people.
Yeah, 100% they have shortage of people. I still remember one lesson which my senior partner taught me, sir. He just, when I was doing my first international engagement, he said, I asked him, what is that, I need to take care of? He only told one thing, sir. Paul is Paul, not Sir Paul or Mr. Paul. It was very simple lesson which was given to me. And I think the day our chartered accountants start looking at these people equally, automatically things will go in a different direction. And our practical exposure, I think, is, we have missed out, rightly stated by you, sir, in our entire marking system. This practical exposure has to be one of the most crucial thing in the process.
Dayabai, we have a very interesting question for Pai sir from one senior chartered accountant, VN Padmanabhanji. Sir is asking, do you still see any role for senior CAs, that is above 50 years of age, in the next 10 years, in spite of rapid changes in technology? Yes, sir.
No, I see. Look, let me tell you one thing. I see a great role for seniors because what seniors bring to the table is the experience of dealing with a variety of cases for 25, 30 years, which is invaluable. In a short period of 5, 6 years, you will never deal with the variety of cases. Their exposure, their variety, their understanding of law, understanding of accounting is fantastic. I would like seniors to spend time, one, building the brand for the firm, talking to them, talking to businessmen, and giving them confidence and showing that, because in India too, we respect people with knowledge and wisdom. Second, I would like them to spend time in reviewing and training their younger people who got to the majority of work. And third, I would like them to spend time in developing society and advising governments and other opinion and policy makers how to do things better and give more of the running of the firm to younger people. So by doing the reviews and doing things, there, I'm sure if you look at yourself, how much work you do in all this, how much work you do in actual operations. Look at Sailesh Haribhakti, look at some of the people in Bombay. Sailesh is a board member of many firms. He takes part in many activities. He's a partner. He markets his firm. He builds a brand. And because of the brand value that he has, he's drawing in the work, right? Because remember, business is a old boys club or a old girls club. If you are running business, you want somebody to come and do some consulting for you. You will tell people, I know this person, just call him. Why? Oh, I got confidence in him. He's a good guy, right?
Right. 100%.
So you have to build your brand. You have to move around. You have to be part of industry association. You got to be visible in the media. You got to write. So as you grow up older, you got to be a brand ambassador because that is your role. You can't be secretive. You can't stay outside limelight, and you got to do that. And you bring something very special, which is not possible. See, when I was a article and doing my thing, I thought I was smarter than my principal. I used to argue with them and fight with them. Now I become older, I realized that they really tolerated me. They knew much better. They used to advise. They've seen much more, and I respect them for it. And that's the way everybody sees, right? But the key thing is, how do you encourage these younger people to work 24/7 and build up the farm? And you pat them in the back and give them some money and show them the carrot a little bit later, and you do well for yourself.
Sir, Bhanu, one thing before sir, thank you very much. I am really delighted. This piece of your message, which has gone to our senior members, is going to make a whole lot of difference because people are actually, getting tense that, technology is going to take over. But the value, what you have shown us, and India being India, the value creation which happens with our seniors is unimaginable. And if these steps are followed, I think we are going to go on a total different zone.
I once had a very complex problem in company law, and I could answer it in 10 minutes, and nobody paid me for it. Because they where is the value? 10 minutes. If the big four, I would say I'll come back, Paklam, prepare a 50-page report and send a fat bill for them and take 25 days. Why was that? Because you understood it, you have been through it, you've seen that, right?
100%.
I mean, see the complex transaction, because life is becoming complex, transaction become complex. You've seen that it takes time. It's not going to happen. Now, young people can use technology, data analytics, and do that. But the key thing is, how do you interpret and how do you put judgment on top of it? That is more important. The grunt work is coming down because it's getting automated. But the judgment and the review and the view on top of this, true and fair view. What is true? What is fair? How are you going to say that?
Perfectly right.
You've got to have a totality of activities, totality of transactions, right? And you've got to say whether it's material, non-material. That's a judgment that you have to bring. How do you have judgment? You can't get judgment unless you've gone through many years and suffered the pain. And sometimes you've taken wrong decisions, made wrong opinions. It is fine. It's all part of the game. So long as the number is very small and you are honest and the number is very small, it's fine. So you've got to understand that. So senior people will have a great role to play, and they must play a very different role from the role they're playing. That's what I'm trying to say. They must not become controllers.
Sir, another question from one of the senior members from Hyderabad, CAK, Hanumanluji. His question is, will uniform global accounting standards, taxation policies will enhance clarity about productivity, profitability, financial strength to help investors to take investment decisions?
Yes, because similarity of standards will mean that cross-border flow of capital will accelerate, because the trust factor will go up. You see, the IASB and the IFRS came up because of the Asian financial crisis, because people invested, trusted those balance sheets, and they were all dead balance sheets because the accounting was very opaque. And that's where a group of people came together, led by Paul Volcker, to come and set up the IASB and the International Financial Reporting Standards Committee. I was a part of the board of trustees for 6 years. So, this is how it comes about, right? So I think it's very important to have standardization. See, today, I want an audit report signed by an Indian chartered accountant as a member of the ICAI to have the same value as the audit report signed by any account in the West. Today, many investors say, when I invest, I want an account to be audited by the Big Four. Why is that? Why is that? Is something wrong with us? Because we don't follow IFRS. We don't follow the best standards. So they all have a checklist. Everybody's got a checklist. And the checklist is very simple. There's no application of mind. Yes or no, tick, 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 tick. And they say no because the institute doesn't understand how people look, how investors look at. They want to protect some people in this country. They want to protect some firms. So India, and they got some silly notion of sovereignty. What is this sovereignty? Look at the IT industry. We adopted the best global standard. We beat the world. We are dominant. Look at ISO 9000 standards. Our companies took it. Look at the Juran standards in Japan. Japan took the best standard of America and beat the American. That's what we got to do. Because they're all inputs. They're not outputs. Output is at a command. Inputs we use what is there in best in the world. We learn from the world. Look at China, global manufacturing giant. They use the best the world has. They beat the world. That's what we got to do. And not think of silly notion, how can we be sovereign? We are a sovereign country. It doesn't matter. The globe doesn't care. We must get global respect. To get global respect, you must follow global standards. And the institutes to say, I want our Indian chartered account signature to be rock solid, trusted by the world. Why will the world trust? Because we follow the best global standards. We have oversight and we make sure that nothing goes wrong. And we have educated them and they're highly trained. That's it. What does it require? Doesn't matter whether you follow India's or something. They're all inputs. They're not output.
So one more question from Jitendra Kumar, another senior chartered accountant. He says, what are the steps that are recommended for the transition to phase transformation?
Well, the first thing you must do is get younger people into your firm who are more tech savvy. Second is undergo a digital transformation of work by automating a lot of processes and buying more software tools. And your center of excellence can help them by recommending a set of tools and training people in the use of these tools, and possibly having a SaaS model whereby you don't have to pay high license cost. You can license it out and sub-license to people at a much lower cost because it's expensive. So you can work out a large licensing matter and training them. Next, presentation and documentation should improve, because today everything is based on documentation, not memory. So your audit process should be documented. Audit plan should be documented. Your audit papers, should have, something so people can come and review. And you must get reviews done periodically by yourself and get the certification, right? So that your standards go up. And the next thing is you must train your people to be smart. presentable, persona. You must not be shabbily dressed. You must be smartly dressed. You must have proper cards, business cards. You must have a nice office with good technology so people can see, not with a lot of people, paper thrown all over the way. Correct? And whatever reports goes out should be properly formatted. Letters should be properly formatted. Your grammar and English should be very good. All the things have to be done. It's all in the presentation, man. Nothing else. It's all in the presentation. Let me tell you, in business, when somebody comes to present, in the first 5 minutes, you make up your mind. If you don't impress the first 5 minutes, nothing matters. It's very difficult to come back because people don't have, that time to review, right?
And here's a follow-up question.
This is the way you got to transfer. You got to get the digital generation in, work with the center of excellence, and maybe Daya, you must prepare a paper, transforming audit firms. What needs to be done? Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and have a training program, a digital transformation. Okay.
Yes. Positively.
And the cost of that should be reduced.
So we are doing.
Have I one question from Jitendra?
Today, let me tell you a secret there. I never carried a laptop as the CFO of Infosys, one of the largest companies in India. Never had a laptop. I used to meet 300 investors a year, and I could answer any question, any investor conference in any part of the world all the time. I was just the best CFO in India the first time anybody gave an award. Why is that? No, I had the knowledge. I could express myself. I was confident, and I had all the data on my side. Now, why am I saying this? For senior people who are apprehending digital transformation, you must redefine your role. It's not that you must know software, write a code, does not require. You must know how to use that and have a set of people who use it and tell you, and you question them and you understand what it is and get it done. I never spent time entering anything. I never spent time getting the output. I reviewed. I asked questions. And I presented the balance sheet. I wrote the annual report. I wrote the notes. I checked up the language, made sure it's standardized. I used to read the Infosys annual report 3 times every single year. I was so fed up of that. That's why I stepped down as CFO. I said, I don't want to read the damn thing again. Because I didn't want a single mistake. I didn't want a smart Daya somewhere to look at it and say, look at this fellow. He's an idiot. He made this mistake. I didn't want anybody to make a mistake. I didn't want anybody to say anything. So 3 times. I mean, it's a lot of work. Now, so if you're a senior, you got to do the thing. Let others do the work. They love the technology, do the work. I had a person working with me, Vinayak Pai, who was a chartered accountant. He used to do the analytics. That man, before I finished my question, he could tell me the answer because he thought what I was thinking. Because he worked with me so long. So I'm just giving an example how we should work.
Because of the hard work, you got the awards for Infosys annual report, sir.
But it's very hard work. Look at the presentation, the annual report. Yeah. Look at the disclosure standards. We gave our gap in the gap of 7 countries. 7 countries. UK gap, French gap, German gap, Japanese gap, US gap, Indian gap, etc. We gave it in. Why did we do that? Nobody asked us. We gave quarterly reports. We audited the quarterly reports. We gave guidance, right? We made disclosure. We gave HR accounting. We gave value-added statement. We gave, EV analysis. So much of data we give everybody. Openly we gave and give a lot of analytical info. Why did you do that? Because we want confidence. Because, our mantra was, we have to be the most respected company in India. We may not be the biggest. We may not be the highest profit, but we have to be respected. Why? We must have the best standards in India. We must set the standard. The drive and the passion is something which all of us can have individually. And that is what is going to win for you.
So while on gap, sir, there is a question on gap from Melvin Jose. CA Melvin Jose is asking, sir, in your view, do you think there is going to be a convergence of IFRS versus US gap at least by 2030?
No. The US accounting fraternity does not want convergence with the standard outside the United States. I was part of the IFRS Foundation for 6 years. We had a conversion program. It didn't work. We had to give it up. We had PK, Prabhakar Kalavachalla, who's an auditing partner in KPMG in San Francisco. He was working. He joined IASB, spent 5 years. He worked on revenue recognition. We had a project to convert. It didn't work because the SEC did not want to do it. And the US corporation said, no, we want SEC. We want to be beaten up by SEC. We want this. Because what they allowed was not principles. They allowed rule. Why rule? With rule, you can get away with so much. 20% is associate company. 18% is not associate company. I'm safe, no. Now, if you have a principle based upon impact and overall, what will you do, man? You're stuck. Then you can be questioned. Even if it's 10% you have control, you can question. Yes, 20% threshold, you be below the threshold. No, it doesn't matter. Aapko pata nahi hai. Everybody says, okay, you're safe. So it's a different society. So it will not happen because the Europeans and the rest of the world have principles, and principles are much better. But principles require different kind of regulations, right? Different kind of, it requires more maturity. They're going by, rules. So it's a different culture. It's not going to happen.
So Jitendra is asking again, so do you consider ICAI as the steps taken so far by ICAI are in the direction of change that is taking place? Your view on this?
The problem with ICAI, and I've been talking about it for the last 40 years, they're behind the curve. We want an institute which leads ahead of the curve and sets global standards. We have an institute which is following the curve, which is behind by 10 years, trying to protect us from I don't know what. We don't need your protection. We want it to lead, become a global player, lead the world, have great experts who are part of global standard setting, who spend a lot of time, and you've got a 300 crore balance sheet with 250 crores of liquid assets there. Correct me if I'm wrong. Why didn't you spend the money on research? Why didn't you spend the money on training? What are you doing keeping those fixed deposits in the bank? For what? And most of the money you make every year comes from the students, it's not from the members. Look at the balance sheet and the cost statement. Why didn't you spend on research? Why didn't we have 10 accounting professors or professionals in this world in India who are reckoned to be global experts in research? Why don't we have 10 researchers in taxation who can be part of the UN group and everywhere else and respected globally? Why can't we train our people to go work abroad? Where is all this coming from? Nothing. They're not doing it. So we are behind the curve. And we are behind the curve for a very important reason. In my view, that we are not investing in creating a group of people who are subject matter experts within the institute and the research body. We are not updating a curriculum to be cutting edge and leading. We are following. I mean, my son who did the CA used to tell me, he finished CA maybe 5 years back, he used to tell me that the IT paper was talking about hard disk and all that rubbish. There's no hard disk for, hard disk was there long back. Yeah, nobody knows hard disk, gate disk and all that rubbish. Who's bothered about a hard disk, correct? All you need to know, press a button like iPad and everything comes and you know how to work on that, how to use that tool. So he's telling me all of that and he's so frustrated. Then he has written 200 pages of poetry. But after the institute is over, he has to do a course in English. Now, it's true that many people don't know English. They have to do a course. Why didn't you allow them to take a test immediately after that and test your English? If you pass that, forget the course. Why go through the course and waste your time for people who know English well, who can teach you English, who can write English poetry? You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
So we have to lead. We should not follow. And for that, while, the ICAI is a political institution. It's run by elected members. And we have a president there who's for 1 year. 1 year, I should tell BP Rao became president first, then Raghu. By the time you finish all the welcome ceremonies in all the association, all the bodies, the time for to say goodbye. What do you do, man? You have to visit all the branches. You have a long ceremonies, long introductions. By the time you finish all that, your term is half over, then you're gone. Once you've finished half your term, nobody cares for you because you're on the way out. So we need a permanent secretary, a permanent president, and there can be a figurehead who's the president, maybe there. And then what we need is a set of 10 accomplished chartered accountants who got great brand equity as advisors, who can talk with the profession. If my president goes to the MCA, I expect the secretary to stand up and welcome him and respect him. I seen my president go to the MCA where the secretary doesn't care a damn. And we go as supplicants. Hello, sir. How are you, sir? Everything okay, sir? Why we do that? We lead 350,000 chartered accountants, man. You understand what I'm saying? 100%. So we have to have different architecture for managing a profession in the digital era. We are still in the industrial era, still in the colonial era, and we have to update. And that has to come. And for that, the mindset has to change.
Sir, one thing which I would like to say is like my 2.5 years of experience with the council, though I am the youngest from southern part and second youngest in the country, there has been a lot amount of learning which has gone through the Center of Excellence, what we have made. we need to actually transform, and we need to do a lot of things in the Center of Excellence, because there is a research which is required to be done at a very larger level, undoubtedly. And that is where
Jaya, we don't have accounting professors who are known globally as accounting experts, man. We are the second largest population in the world. We don't have any Tell me 5 accounting professors whom you respect for accounting knowledge. Tell me 5 global taxation experts. Yes, taxation expert, we know in Indian tax, global taxation. Pasati Som is there. Yes, he's done thing. We need the 5 people to come and work with the institute. The institute should involve them in building the profession. See, we have to do a lot of outreach programs. You understand?
One of the most important things which I have seen in last 2.5 years, sir, the kind of examples what India has got in the business arena, the kind of examples that can be taken, understood, researched, and we can put forward. I think globally we do not have that number of examples, because the length and breadth of the country and the kind of population we have, the kind of business structures we have is totally different. I think we can undoubtedly be a leader with regards to that kind of study that we into one basket.
We need spokesperson for us to talk in global forums.
So there are 2 more questions. We'll take that and then we will wind up with Daya giving his closing remarks, sir. The one question is from, I think, a fairly young member, Avantika. She's asking, sir, why are CAs from ICAI not recognized as chartered accountants in the Middle East? Any expectation if it can be recognized in near future?
All this international thing is a matter of reciprocity. You have to say, we recognize you in our country and you recognize the country, then it will work. That's all. I think we should tie up with all around the world, all the top 20 economies, say we recognize, you recognize, and forget about it. We're all members of global bodies. Because some of people fear they'll all come and work in India and take away work. Nobody can take away work from you, man. Forget it.
We already have 70s MOUs and MRAs signed between
you got it. Now do it.
I think, we have got very good. I think
more.
Avantika, anytime you reach out.
Why doesn't the institute, along with the CPA Institute, run a CPA program in India for all our young people to get a CPA certificate? Karlo. Let the institute run it.
Huh? Yeah, I think it's time where we, with the MOUs and MRAs, are more or less we are through.
Do the MOUs and then do the CPA exam. Train 100,000 chartered accountants in the CPA, man. Let them have CPA against the name. If Americans want them, let them go to American account. Who cares? We have to be the dominant accounting profession in the world. The whole world should be our stage. What should we do to do that? That means global recognition should be there for our thing. We have to sign with everybody and say we should be recognized globally. We should get global accounting. There are only 2 forms of accounting, IFRS and CPA. US GAAP. And we must be experts in IFRS, expert there. You must get a certificate from a global body. I'm an IFRS expert. I'm a US GAAP expert. Wherever the certificate, get that certificate. So why do you bother? Right? That's all.
The institute is a member also.
And our institute should enable that for our young people.
Sir, more importantly, institute has been the founder member of IFRS Foundation, as well as we are on the board of IFRS as well, and we are also a member, which is a big number again.
Yeah. But are you playing the role? Are you playing the role you should play as the second largest accounting profession in the world after the United States? No. I mean, I see people from New Zealand, a small country, coming on IFRS, the technical board. I see from Australia coming. They got more membership than us. I see from Scandinavia coming. Scandinavia is lesser than Bangalore and Hyderabad.
Agreed.
So one last question, sir, from Rana Bhaumik. Who's asking, why should CAs not be allowed to advertise?
Agree. Please. You should be allowed to market, advertise. Why don't you follow the UK norms? What does the UK do? Are the US norms? Adopt them. So we are on par with them.
So one big move is already started, sir. 31st, we are launching the biggest site, which ICAI, so just to share with you, we have as a regulation as per ICAI guidelines and act that we cannot advertise as a chartered accountant. But now, last year, Atul Gupta has done it very good. And this year, again, Praful Chajad and Nihar Jambusaria has made it very nice thing. There's a site which we are launching on 31st, which is called CA Connect. It's going to be the global, a different perspective where you can actually go and highlight, and it will be the institute platform which is going to come. I'm fortunately happy to be part of that initiative which is going to be
Very
launched.
good.
So now globally, anyone who want to see in Hyderabad, Bangalore, even in the remotest area like Shimoga in Karnataka or Karimnagar in Telangana, you can actually go select with the city, number of partners, experience. Everything is going to come
Brilliant,
for
brilliant.
our.
And
So
then
this
work with the government to say that we need an act which is contemporary. We have to compete globally. The UK had this, US had this. So amend the law. What is that?
Sir, one thing which I would like to share with you, just if you give me 1 minute, Bhanu sir, because this is a very relevant question. Sir, we are starting the concept of financial and tax literacy drive, which is, I would like to tell you now, Institute is the way we are moving forward. Thanks to Nihar Bhai for doing that particular, having that kind of thought process. It's amazing the way we are going to advertise our profession. Let me just take you through one, thing, sir, in this.
Thank you, ICAI, for Tax and Finance Literacy Drive. Finally, funders of tax and finance are clear to me. Lots of housewives, employees, doctors, students, entrepreneurs, farmers, and people from other categories are learning the fundas, saving, budgeting, investing, and spending after participating in ICAI's Tax and Finance Drive. You too participate and become self-reliant by learning about finance and tax guidance from expert chartered accountants. With Gyan, ICAI's initiative, visit ICAI.org.
So this is what we are trying to do, sir. We have to market our profession in a very, very effective manner. I'm again fortunate to be the chairman of this committee, which has been formed for, financial and tax literacy drive, where we want to popularize the profession. It is high time that, if there is a restriction in the act, I think Institute has to come forward, and Institute is now coming forward to market the profession in a very effective manner.
Yeah, we are one of the most powerful profession in India. We know everybody in politics. We know what we work for them. We do the tax. We advise them, everything. They trust us. We should go as a lobby and tell the government, change karo bhaiya. They will listen to you. We're the most powerful profession in India, because unlike a lawyer whom they go to only when need, they have to deal with us every single day.
Every single day.
So you're the most. Why don't you use that power to bring about reforms?
Yes, sir.
And
But
then see, there are some things that you people must do. Second, we must communicate better with the public. What we are doing, what our members are doing, what our achievements are. So that the brand equity amongst the members of public changes. They must not see us as people who advise people how to not pay tax and all the kind of stupid things that some people think. And you must demonstrate why our attestation function enhances credibility of financial statements and why people can trust us. So you must have a better communication, better transformation. And then in Hyderabad, I would urge you to have a group of people who sit down and write a vision report for Telangana, how Telangana can become #1 state in GDP and per capita income in Asia. What are the policies that they have to do? How they can create high quality jobs? What are the investment they have to do? Why don't you create a vision group, a vision report for Hyderabad, and do that and present it to the political leadership and work with them to make it happen and build your brand equity. And do it voluntarily, not as part of ICAI, as part of a local Hyderabad group.
Nice, sir.
See, how do you build your brand equity? You build your brand equity by intellectual leadership, by thought leadership, by communication. Correct? Where people give you respect. Correct?
Correct, sir. 100%.
Yes, sir. I'll intervene at this juncture. And sir, anyway, I have the vote of thanks to do, so I will take up my job there. Before that, Daya will be responding, and after a very long time, Daya, I have been used to people taking notes when you are talking, but now I am somewhat happy that you have been taking notes while Pai sir is talking. So it has been sort of a role reversal after a long time. Now Daya will respond, and he will also tell us something which we have missed out, and the perspective of the institute, and something more, something beyond the expectations of 2030 from Daya University.
Thank you, Banu and Mohandas sir. What we wanted, you have given. More importantly, I will say confidence. That is the only word which I can tell. Couple of words you have used in your discussion, sir. One is undoubtedly intellectual leadership. And when we have leaders like you, I think we will be failing if we don't use the lessons you have learned your way and that is not being implemented as promised. Yes, it is going to be a time where Center of Excellence is going to come out in a different style, and you will be one of the persons who will be guiding us in Center of Excellence because I'm learning to learn. Honestly speaking, I'm using the word I'm learning to learn in the process. Banu, that is a message for your statement, and I'd love to continue to learn. Couple of statements again, sir. Words, vision statement. Undoubtedly, I think as a power of this profession, trust in this profession, and more importantly, the ultimate thing is the confidence which we need to create among the people at large. Few out of so many, if they made mistake, doesn't matter, but the entire rest is such strong that we have actually developed and maintained that 72 years of legacy. And this legacy is going to continue forward with the transformation which we are actually thinking about. Sir, the message is very simple. In 72 years, if there has been laws which have undergone change from the license Raj to the current scenario, our chartered accountants have been at the forefront to learn the law, explain it to the businessmen. They made money. Whether we made it or not, that is different, but they made money. And when the time has come, when we had to adopt technology, I think pages to mobile was a longer period when it is coming to chartered accountants adopting to the technology, and the senior most people have used technology even during their bank audits. So the point is the confidence which we need to create among ourselves and the message which we need to give to the society by standing together shoulder to shoulder and making a noise which goes to the last level and ensures that this partner in nation building is not a small journey. It has been 72 years, been before that also, and it will continue in all the time to come. Sir, I think this video recording is going to be one of my favorite recordings, which I'm going to listen to it again and again, because I got my vision. If you ask me, whether as a council member, as a young chartered accountant, as a mentor tomorrow, if I want to share with my young members what I need to guide them, this is something which is unimaginable. The value add which you have put in forward, very straightforward. Where we are weak, yes, we are weak. Let us make ourselves strong. This is a message which you have given. I think a couple of people have asked their relevant questions and making ourselves relevant. We were, sir, relevant in past. We are relevant today. We will be relevant tomorrow also. And we can make it more relevant by adopting to the global, accepted principles or laws which has been there. And sir, as you rightly said, most of the largest companies, biggest companies come from India, and most of the companies across the globe are headed by Indians. That itself is a big message for the nation that, we Indians have that brains to make it happen in a larger manner. Sir, couple of commitments which we will like to give, at least I like to give. I hope I continue in the council in time to come. But whether I am there or not, I'm going to be a true chartered accountant all throughout, and we are going to create a different kind of vision and ensure that the shortest journey with the longest vision is going to be achieved in the shortest time. That's the only thing which I would like to say. Thank you very much for joining us, Mohandas sir. It's always a treat to listen to you and get a lot of notings. See, I can just tell you these are all my notings which I have made for myself to be, moving forward with all stars in it. And I think no page is left. In that page, every statement has a star. So thank you very much. Over to you, Banu.
Yeah, there very much. So I was right on two counts. One, I said you have been taking notes and you have proved that. And I said, sir is a 5-star general and you have made so many stars in your notes. So I've been proved right more than once. Sir, it was a pleasure listening to you, sir. Mohan means, the Sanskrit meaning is enchanting, charming. And really your message today, the way you spoke was mesmerizing, it was enchanting and infatuating listening to you, sir. The flow was perfect, full of data, and the statistics were fantastic. And so we have heard about walking encyclopedias, and we have seen some of our great speakers who have been masters in the subject. Any question you ask, they will straight away come out with the answer along with the section. But so much of data, global data, economic data, statistics, very, very rare quality, sir. That is why you stand out so high amongst the intellectuals of India. And the message that you are given: learn to communicate, learn to innovate, learn to market, use technology, grow big, invest big in young people, and develop intellectual leadership. I think these few takeaways, the few keywords, if we evolve around this, if we develop around these, I think we will have great expectations, and we'll be fulfilling the great expectations of the society at large and the governments in 2030. Well, thereby, it's hats off to you for organizing such a wonderful program, and that too from a wonderful person, human at heart and expert at work. And even though sir said that the young people are going to be relevant, he said the not so young are equally important and equally relevant. So that gives some enthusiasm to me, because I and some of the questions that the members have asked have been very relevant, and they have been answered both by sir as well as you with a lot of clarity and aplomb. And I think very soon we are going to see a new ICAI, a new examination policy, and a new articleship policy. And we will be, like sir said, the entry should be tough, but the passing out should be easy. So very soon, it is the reverse presently for the so many years, past 70 years, we made entry. I think very soon we will also, as sir said, is his vision, one of his visions, that the entry should be tough, but we should walk away with the degree with relative ease and more knowledge, more practical knowledge, global experience, whatnot. As thereby I said, one of the wonderful sessions that we had, which was for long times to come. Thank you very much, sir. Thereby, who will have the honor of doing? Who will have the honor of giving the certificate of appreciation to sir?
Acharya, you have?
I leave it to you. Yeah.
Sir, one thing in the discussion I came about and need one help. You talked about Vinayak Pai. I want him to come and speak sometime to our young members, supporting the CFO to be a CFO. If you can help him out.
Send me an email. Send me an email. I have to find him out. And please convey my regards to your father, because I have spent a lot of time with your father, going for lectures, giving lectures together with your father, attended many, many events. I've got very fond memories. And that was the time he was a senior, I was a much, much younger member.
Sir, he is already listening to all the speech today by you, sir. He is attending.
Thank you. Thank you. Please convey my regards to him.
Positively, I'll do that.
Thank you.
Positively.
So, I, sir, a small token of recognition from Hyderabad branch.
Oh, thank you.
We call it a small token of love and affection, and this is being presented digitally. And
thank you.
After some time, and within 30 days, not 2030, this will reach you in the physical form too.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Very grateful to all of you. Enjoyed talking to all of you, and wish you all the best. And I want to see Hyderabad leading India.
Thank you,
Surely, sir.
Thank
and sir, one more request. Finally, in Center of Excellence, we will be having you as our advisor to make things happen in a large manner. That is for sure. There's a promise from my side that we'll make Hyderabad Center of Excellence, not only Hyderabad, I think National Center of Excellence. Every city should have one excellence, because every state has its own stories to talk about. It's, we are United States of India, rather, I can say it that way.
Yeah. Very true. Very true.
Which has a different experience. I think one Center of Excellence will not be sufficient, and we need a national level, platform, which we'll start with. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mohan sir. Thank you so much for your wonderful today, and really blessed to share a screen with you, sir. Thank you.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Well, friends, we have had an evening which was full of hope, full of expectations, and we had a lot of positivity and a lot of food for thought for the changes that will make us more relevant in future. And good night. Take care. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you all for joining. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, please end this. Recording आप कर लेंगे ना? Okay.